This meeting is being recorded.
All right, Eric, and if you want to put yourself on mute, there's a little bit of an echo. All right. Okay, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Joanna Nelson, and I'm the Strategic Programs Manager at the New Mexico Economic Development Department. And I am joined with my colleagues today, Eric Jahate, who's the Resiliency Coordinator at EDD, as well as Felicia DePaula, who's the Special Programs Coordinator. And we are here today to give you an overview of our new emergency wildfire business assistant grant program. And before we get started, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on the logistics of the format. As you saw, we're trying on our end to navigate using Zoom for a webinar. This is our first time, so bear with us if we have any technical issues. Can you see my screen? Can you still see the presentation? Eric?
Yes.
Okay, great. That's important that you can see the information on the screen. We are recording this, so we are going to post this recording on our YouTube channel. When you are on YouTube, you can search New Mexico Economic Development Department, and you'll find our channel and you will see this posted. So if you have to jump off, if you can't attend today, no problem. You can access this recording at any time. We are going to send a link out to our registrants. If you registered for this webinar as well, we will put it out in our numerous social media channels, as well as any communications that we'll send out. And feel free to email us if you would like a copy emailed to you too. We're also going to send some follow-up documents along with that recording, so stay tuned for that. If you do have questions, feel free and go ahead and type those questions into the Q&A box that you should see at the bottom of your screen. And we're going to do our best to answer those in live time. We are going to set some time at the end of the presentation to answer questions in real time as well. I think we have the ability to, when we answer a question, we can post that live. So you should be able to see that, I think, in the chat. And if we don't get to your questions, by all means, of course, reach out to us, call us, email, we'll give you all that information, and we will answer your questions. We also are working on an FAQ that we will post on our website. We're hopeful that we get some good questions today that will help inform that document as well. Hopefully that'll be the document that we send out to you when we send the link. So let's go ahead and get started. In an overview of this information session today, our hope is that you're empowered with the information that you need to access and apply for the Wildfire Business Assistance Grant Program. So we're going to go over broad overview. What's the purpose of this program? What is the eligibility? We also are going to provide an information checklist to make sure that you have the documents that we're requiring and need to verify the information so you can have those ready to go when the application goes live. And we are going to go over the process overview. What are the logistics of this program? What's the timing that we can expect? We are going to walk you through that application so you know the questions that are coming and you can prepare for those. And we've also got a slide with additional assistance, contacts, and information for you outside of this program. And then, as I mentioned, we have our contacts as well. We want you to not hesitate 1 second to call us and reach out for more information or letting us know how we can provide assistance to you. Let's get into the overview and the purpose of this program. We know that our businesses suffered severe impact because of the wildfires that happened in the January through June season of this year. Our hope at EDD, under the leadership of our Cabinet Secretary, Alicia J. Keys, in coordination with the Governor's Office, is to provide a little bit of relief to our businesses that have suffered, and hopefully we can provide some help during this really difficult time as businesses still struggle to assess and figure out what to do because their business property was damaged, their revenue was impacted, their property was changed for the near foreseeable future. We were able to find funds in an old federal program that we recycled, and we're able to find funding to put into this program and create this grant program. We found about $1.5 million that we have available to grant businesses that were impacted by the wildfires. So the application opens on August 15th. That is Monday, and it should be at the beginning of the business day. You should be able to go to our website, which you see listed here, and access that application. Impact claims that we are providing grants for are under two different categories. We want to provide relief to businesses that suffered business property damage. So that is, property is meaning land, building, infrastructure, equipment, hard assets that experience damage. And then also revenue decline. If your business had a revenue decline that was dependent on natural resources or the area that the wildfire destroyed, and you can show that there was a decline in revenue due to that disaster, those are the two types of categories that we are recognizing within this grant program. The grant awards are within $5,000 to $20,000. That is our maximum amount that we are able to grant. The use of the funds can be for a variety of things that we know our businesses are engaged in right now: construction, repair, operating capital, asset purchases. That could include inventory purchases, administrative costs, which could include labor as well. We put on here an estimated 5 weeks until payment. And this is a changing target as we are putting together this program based on need. We are estimating, we wanted to give you the furthest out date that we could think of, so there are no surprises, and we're estimating at the high end 5 weeks until the business receives payment. This is could change, and of course we'll update the public as soon as we know that. But you could expect probably 3 to 5 weeks to receive payment. Our program will close on December 1st or until the funds are exhausted. So this is an overview of the program. And again, the purpose is, how can we provide relief to our businesses? We know $20,000 is a drop in the bucket to the destruction and devastation that our businesses experienced, but we're hopeful that it is a little bit of help. That's what we're trying to do. Eligibility. Who is eligible for this program? You do have to be a registered business in the state of New Mexico. So you are going to have to provide your New Mexico business tax identification number. If for some reason you don't have that, we're open to verifying via EIN, Federal Employer Identification Number. However, the majority of applications we expect will have to have a tax ID number in New Mexico. You have to show registration of your business. Types of businesses include corporations, sole proprietors, as well as nonprofits. And here's the big question that we've already been fielding a lot of calls, and we also have been amending this as we get more information from our impacted businesses as well as our federal partners. Initially, when we started this program, we were focused on the federally declared disaster regions, which include the fires of Big Hole, Calf Canyon, Hermit's Peak, Cooks Peak, and McBride. And those specific counties are in that second bullet. You can see Colfax, San Miguel, Mora, parts of Lincoln County, and Valencia County. However, the federal designation has expanded to include Sandoval and Los Alamos counties that were affected by the Cerro Pelado fires and include the zip codes that are listed here. Here is the catch. We are open to exploring other impacted areas. We've had some businesses reach out that were impacted in the southwestern region of the state by the Black Fire. And if your business experienced devastation, destruction, damage by wildfires throughout June or January to June, we are open to reviewing those cases, are reviewing those applications case by case basis. You are by no means excluded or not eligible because the fire is not included in the federal designation. We recognize that there was including Black Fire and a huge significant fire that impacted businesses in a severe way. So they are definitely eligible. And I hope that that sets the tone for this program as well as this presentation. The leadership at EDD as well as in the governor's office is really open to not exploring, but being more inclusive. How can we generate more help than saying no? So the businesses in operation, the business had to have been in operation during the fire. So that's another caveat too. You had to be in operation to have experienced the impact. And then we do have an information checklist prep for you to think of the documents you need to get on hand that will be needed for this application. So you are going to need to fill out a W-9, and there's going to be a link in fact, we can probably put the link in the chat if somebody can do that, and I'll do it if we can't get to it. That is a document that enables you to be set up as a vendor. If you are awarded the grant, we need this W-9 in place. So we're getting ahead of that and hoping to speed up the process. So you will need to fill out a W-9. You will need to fill out your New Mexico tax identification number. You have to show us proof that the business was in operation from January to June. We're open to exploring documents that can show that you were in business and in operation. You are going to have to show proof of the physical damage to your business property, and we are able to review insurance claims. Maybe you have a FEMA claim. We're also open to reviewing photos with a narrative. Tell us what the damage was and verify that. We are willing to work with you to figure out the best way that is helpful to the state to be able to verify that on the state level as well as on your what's easy for you. If you have suggestions, if you need to talk through this, if you have questions about what is adequate, of course, feel free to reach out. You also are going to have to show proof that your business revenue declined. So ideally, you have a profit and loss statement from 2021 that you can show us during the wildfire, while the wildfires were going on, April through June, for the ones that were mentioned, that you can show us that there was a decline comparatively in 2022. We also recognize that this is not the cleanest, a lot of people necessarily don't have a clean P&L. We are open to reviewing bank statements and as well are open to working with you to figure out what constitutes as verification for us to show that you had significant revenue loss during the wildfires and you were impacted, your business was impacted, as well as your revenue. So I'm going to turn it over to Eric to walk us through the logistics, the process of the program as well as the application. And I'll try to answer some questions and I'll put the link in the chat.
All right. So this is the diagram for the process that we're trying to follow. The Wildfire Business Assistance Grants. There's 4 pieces here. We have the launch phase, the submit phase, the approve phase, and finally the fund phase. As many of you know, the governor announced the program on August 6, 2022 in Las Vegas. The press release went out the same day. Today, here we are, Thursday on the 11th, conducting the webinar, and then the application will go live Monday, August 15th. And I'll go through a review of the application, which is probably about 80% complete. There's still some final things we need to do before Monday, but it'll be ready by Monday. The business applies online via the EDD website, and the review process begins 8/26/2022 on the submit phase. On the approve phase, we review the process, approval notification to go out, collect additional documentation for those that have been approved, execute grant agreements through 9/16/2022. And then finally, we moved into the fund phase where funds are transferred beginning 9/16/2022. We ask that companies maintain records showing they spent money as the requested use. These will most likely not need to be submitted, but it would be good to have these just in case of audit purposes, either of our department or of the program. And then business reports on current status of the business in 6 months, just to identify impact, to see if the program was used as intended, or if there's any sort of feedback, things we could maybe do in the future. If you can go to the next slide, please. Okay, and it looks like my share screen is currently disabled. If there would be a way that we can allow me to share the screen.
All right, working on it, Eric.
Okay.
Okay, try now.
Okay. It says it's still disabled.
Okay, try now.
Okay, I think it looks like it's ready to share, but it's saying that another participant is already sharing.
Okay, try now.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, it looks like we're ready. Let's see here. Share. And are you able to see the application?
I can't.
Okay. Let me make sure.
Right, try now.
Entire screen. Let me go to a window. Share.
Okay, I think we can see it now, Eric. You just
Okay.
hit it on the right screen.
Okay, is this are you seeing the application?
No, we see, I think we're looking at your Zoom screen.
Okay. Let me go ahead and let's see the window. Okay. Okay, let me try one more time.
Okay, there we go. That one. Yep.
All right.
Got it.
Okay. So just real quick, as mentioned, this still is going through some final edits, but I think it's far enough along to share it with you. There's a handful of categories here. The first one is the business details, and basic general details, business name, entity type, where you can go through and select from a drop-down menu. The entity type, we have the three LLC, corporation, sole proprietor, nonprofit, the New Mexico tax identification number, federal employer identification number, the primary business address, and we had to add another section to provide the county. Now that we've been able to expand the general counties from the 5 to the 7, and then also got approval to add from other areas of the state that were impacted by wildfires. This will also be a drop down by the time the application goes live. Here we want to know if you operate your business out of your home, the primary contact of the business, the primary contact title, general email and phone number information to get a hold of applicants. We also would like to know how many full-time employees, including the owner, and also part-time employees, including the owner, and then when the business was established, and also any sort of documentation that helps us confirm or validate when the business was established here. The demographic information is completely voluntary. It's mostly for EDD purposes to get data on the people that are applying and the people that have been awarded. But we have here primary business owner gender and drop-down menu. We have owner ethnicity, again, a drop-down menu. We're asking if their applicant is Native American. And then we also have a place here for those that are veterans. Finally, here we get to the impact claim, and this is where we're going to be getting most of the information that we're going to, try to evaluate and approve the application on. So, for example, as Joanna mentioned, here's the physical damage to business property selection, and there's also the revenue is directly impacted by the disaster selection. And then here's a narrative to describe how the impact took place at your place of business or property. And of course here, what we're trying to do is get a general number based off of your estimate, what your claim is going to be. And then also here we have a table to describe how you would use the resources if approved. Now, one thing I would like to point out in this section is that there is a SBA resources that may or may have not been already secured. One of the things that we're working with them to stay aware of is that you can receive both resources, but they would need to be used for different purposes. So we're working with them to utilize their data, and also say, for instance, that your need was more than they were able to provide, or more than we are able to provide. You could use those resources for the same need if there was a gap there. So that's something that is easily misconstrued as, if you got SBA, you can't get this, or if you got this, you can't get that. That's not the case. It's just we need to work together to make sure that we're in alignment with what the funding is being used for. The next piece here is the physical damage claim. So this table, you can enter things directly on here, information directly on here based off of how you're basically self-evaluating your physical damage claim. And then finally, as we get through here, you can enter the dollar amount, and then also provide additional documentation that helps us, again, confirm and validate the information that you're providing. Under here is the impacted business revenue claim. As mentioned, we want you to be able to describe in narrative form, what took place at your property, at your business. And the reason why we're doing this is because we're trying to treat each case on an individual level, and that helps us understand that piece. It helps us avoid shoeboxing, all of the different situations into a single scenario. So if you can be clear and concise in explaining this, that's excellent. For the decrease in revenue calculator, here's just, we're using this 3-month window, the second quarter of 2021 compared to the second quarter of 2022. You can enter the number directly in here. The year-to-year difference will automatically calculate. And then what you want to do is just, if that year-to-year difference, if you're saying that the entire loss was exactly the same as that, you could enter that. But if you're saying that, okay, our year-to-year difference was this, and probably 50% of the loss was due to the disaster, then that will automatically populate here as like 50%. We also ask that that number be put in this for easy tracking and easier filtering on the data. And then we also ask for any sort of documentation here as well. Additional attachments will be a W-9. We're probably going to be able to put a link here that you can link directly to that document and be able to complete that. And then also the self-certification is an honor system where you're certifying that all of this information is correct and accurate to the best of your knowledge. That way we can, avoid typical bureaucratic processes where, we understand that this information is quality and we can move forward with the evaluation. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And if we could go back to the slideshow.
Can you see the screen, Eric?
Yes, thank you. So, and as mentioned with the SBA, we're coordinating with a bunch of different partners on the federal and state level in effort to support localities across New Mexico. The first one here is the SBA. We have EIDL loans. Deadline is 9/6/22, and there's a link. The SBDC is an organization we work closely with. We're going to present to them with them next week. FEMA, USDA, and then we also provide a weekly EDD wrap-up every Monday, which includes several resources that are categorized at federal, state, local levels, and it's something that there's also a YouTube session that happens along with that introduces people to the programs. And then we're also so for today example at 11 a.m. we'll be working with Mercedes Chavez and her group as far as they have a weekly webinar that we're participants with that has plenty of other resources as well. So if you can take advantage of additional resources, like Joanna mentioned, our grant is relatively small and compared to the need, but the more that we can coordinate and utilize these resources together, you could start to put together a package that might be closer to meeting the needs that are required. And I think the next slide. So these are in general, and to further elaborate on that, these are the programs that are developed and maintained and operated by the EDD. We have several programs, the JTIP program, the LEADER program, the Collateral Assistance program, which is the program that helped us secure the monies for this grant program. The Business Finance Finder, Really Efficient Business Program, New Mexico Film Office, Science and Technology Office, International Trade, Border authorities, Spaceport America are, some of the general programs, the public projects funded program, the public-private project support, outdoor rec, New Mexico Main Street, opportunity zones, and then the tax credit programs, angel investment tax credit, high wage jobs tax credit, and rural job tax credit. These are all programs that, if you're not familiar with them, they might be of use to you if you check into them. And then the next slide. As mentioned, the recovery team is spearheading this effort. It is a group effort by every means. There's going to be many people that are going to be pulled into this to not only field calls, provide technical assistance, go through and review applications, but also, execute the grant agreements and make sure that we get through this program as streamlined as possible and as little hiccups as possible. If we have a specific email set up for this, where if you submit the email, there's going to be a team that can respond to you. The regional reps are playing a large role as the boots on the ground in these areas. And then our main admin staff at this number here is going to be the first point of contact for people that have questions. And we are in the process of making everything available in Spanish.
Great, thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
That concludes the overview. We got through that pretty quickly, and we have been answering questions in the background and would love to take your questions now and encourage you to submit those in the Q&A box. Hopefully you can see at the top of the Q&A box, you can see the answered, and you can click on that answered tab and see the ones that we have been able to address. And I want to bring up a point that has come up answering some of the questions. And I'm not sure if you can see this first one where it talks about specific questions to the business. They still have impact because the Forest Service is using their land. But this is an example where we want the main message to you all to be, we want to encourage you to apply. If you have questions about eligibility, you have questions your information might not fit perfectly into the application, we want you to call us and let's figure it out. Let's figure out what documentation will be accurate and eligible and appropriate for us and be able for us to verify the information. Call us, email us, and we will review each case as they come individually and independently. So would just want to make sure that everybody gets that point. We want to encourage you to apply, and we would be able to review your information and say, hey, we need more information on this part to be able to verify that. And Eric and Felicia, feel free to address any of these questions if you want to call them out in live time. The web address for the USDA, maybe Felicia or Eric can put that link into the chat for Chip. And they've got a really great page that goes over all of their programs, especially for agricultural related businesses. And I'm just reading through some of these. One person asked, are tourism related losses also acceptable? Yes, we acknowledge that many of our service and retail businesses experienced loss in revenue due to lack of ability to travel to particular areas. So tourism related businesses, rentals, restaurant revenue, hotels, etc., are eligible if you can show us that your revenue did decline. This brings up a question that came up a few times that we also discussed. How does it work if we are comparing revenue in 2022 to revenue in 2021, that we know in 2021 our businesses were still fixing or addressing impact from the COVID pandemic? And again, we want to encourage you to upload as much information as you can to make the case that prior to the pandemic, these were your averages, these were your, this was your revenue before the pandemic. And again, we want to work with you to be able to verify that information in whatever way that we can. Very much aware of the fact that in 2021, revenue levels were not necessarily at their average due to the pandemic. And again, if Eric or Felicia, if you have questions that you've seen a trend in questions that have come up, feel free to unmute and answer those questions. I'm just reading through them. Cynthia Cowell, who is with SBA. Cynthia, I am more than happy to unmute you if you want to provide this information about the EIDL. Let me see if I can do that. If you're open to that, let me find you. Cynthia is our great partner at SBA that is heading up the disaster economic injury relief programs. I'm trying to find you, Cynthia, to see if I can unmute you and give a plug. Here we go. Give a plug to, are you?
I think I'm here.
All right, there you are. Hi.
Hey. Yes, the economic injury disaster loans for businesses in the affected counties, the counties that were declared and that are included in the EDD grants. The SBA EIDL loans deadline is actually February 6th of 23. But I encourage everyone to get their applications into both forms of help, because like they were saying earlier, we can't duplicate what the state is doing, and but we can help with other things. If your economic damage surpasses what SBA can loan you, then if you can show that you can use it appropriately or for a different function, then you can use that. SBA offers up to $2 million for both physical and economic losses. So if your business burned down to the ground and you suffered $2 million in losses, that doesn't leave anything for EIDL, the economic injury disaster loan. So it's something that I would recommend that every business owner go ahead and apply for for both products, the economic injury disaster loan and the EDD grants. And with that, I'll just lurk in the background again. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thanks for letting me put you on the spot, Cynthia. I'm so glad you're on. And we have a question from Caroline who's asking, who's the SBA contact person? Do you want to throw that out, Cynthia, of who they should contact with SBA?
Well, the best contact would be our customer service rep, our customer service center, and that is 800-659-2955. You can also email us at disasterloanassistance.sba, or excuse me, you can also email us at disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. You can apply online. I know a lot of businesses don't want to be on the computer, don't want their information out there. If you call our customer service line, we'd be very happy to snail mail you an application and you can fill it out, or you can download one from our application website and fill it out by hand. That's disasterloanassistance.sba.gov, or you can go to www.sba.gov/disaster.
Okay, thank you. I put the email in the chat. And we'll make sure that we have all of those contacts that you just mentioned, Cynthia. We'll put that in the email that we send out to all the registrants, as well as, I think it's Brett that was asking about the USDA information. We will put that there. We've got some incredible partners that are on the ground, have been on the ground since the beginning, and they are ready to help. We're all working together to get businesses relief. Again, I keep seeing the question about if you started your business, this particular business is saying in July of 2021, it doesn't necessarily correspond with the wildfire impact time frame that we're looking at. Again, we want to encourage you to apply, reach out, ask your question, and we'll work with you hand in hand to figure out what documentation we can get to show that your business did have impact. Eric, I see you're off of mute. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I read through all of the questions and, just real off the cuff, I don't see anything that is completely ineligible. So, just to reiterate what you said, please apply. And, there's different timelines. One of the things that we're really trying to do is be flexible. So we have to have, some sort of target out there, which has been, put on the application. But as Joanna mentioned, these things are subject to change. Should we find that the need is outside of those parameters. But out of all the questions I've seen so far, everyone seems like they're eligible. So I just want to, just stress that, as we continue to work through this and further define the parameters, we want people to, at minimum, to apply and then allow us the opportunity to, try to shape your application to where we can get it approved.
Thanks for that, Eric. I also want to take the opportunity to expand on a point that you made that we are trying to be flexible, Eric, to let people know this is an emergency program that we put together. We're building this plane as we're flying it. So if you have feedback as you're looking at this presentation or the application, and you think that we can improve the application, by all means, reach out to us. Let us know your suggestion. We've already gotten two really great suggestions on a couple of questions, and we are definitely open to looking at those and considering them to improve this application so it's as easy for you. And again, it's easy for us to verify and make sure that the information is accurate and up to date. Again, I just want to repeat, we will put this recording on YouTube. We will send out the presentation as well as the follow-up contacts. We're working on an FAQ based on these great questions that you have. Also, someone mentioned putting the application, making the application available, and I think that's a great suggestion. We'll put a PDF of the application online, and we'll try to send that out as well, so you can get ahead of the questions. And when that application goes live, you will be able to have all of your information ready to go, no surprises. Also, if you've got questions in the meantime, you can reach out to us and we can walk you through that. Let me look at these. And Ariane, I see, do private healthcare practices count? To Eric's point, we are open. We are not limiting this by industry. And I am thinking we can go ahead and conclude unless, and again, we'll address a lot of these questions in the FAQ, but Eric, Felicia, Cynthia, anything else that you want to mention?
No, I just want to thank everyone for participating.
Thanks, Eric. Okay, and we want to send our regards, our well wishes to everyone on this call. This is not an easy time for our businesses, and we want to acknowledge that. We want to, again, make this process as easy as possible. our businesses are suffering right now that were impacted by the wildfire, and we recognize that. We hear you, we see you. You are the backbone of our economy, and we're going to do our best to get you some relief. So please work with us. Be patient as we are trying to create this program and get it out to you, but want to just send our highest regards and respects out to the business owners that are out there in New Mexico struggling during this time. So thanks to you for your time, thanks for your service, and thanks to all of our partners that have been so helpful. EDA, SBA, all the acronyms, FEMA, SBDCs, all of the nonprofits, all the financial institutions, all the folks that donated products and money to our businesses. So thank you so much, and let's work together and move forward. Reach out to us, let us know how we can help. Thank you so much. I'm going to conclude the webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.